the entire basis of our Hindu religion is astronomy. Astrology is just a part of it. If you study those things at that particular place, because of the position of the stars, some cosmic energy is created over that particular place. You'll feel the energy level going up when you visit a temple and you perform your meditation, and you visit on the choraya or market, the entire thing will go down. So technically and traditionally and mythologically and religiously, something in a sort of blessings, positive energy, positive power is being showered upon that particular place on these specific dates. The Amrit Varsha, what we call about.
There's a couple of articles doing the rounds at the moment about Kumbh. Some of them are rather unfair in the sense that this is the most inclusive ritual, practice, event, opportunity that in anywhere in the world. There is nothing more inclusive as this in terms of the sheer number of people. But what castes, religions, identities, there's no visa, passport check. Anyone who can reach the Sangam is welcome to snan there alongside anyone else. This is very powerful.
Namaste and Jai Shri Ram to every wonderful, beautiful face and souls just around. It's such a privilege to sort of anchor this particular conversation, which is going to hover around the most interesting churn of the century, which is happening in Prayagraj. I'm sure half of you would have perhaps gone there or planning to go there. Okay. So personally, I think that this particular place where this wonderful, huge spiritual congregation, which is happening right now, it is unforeseen. I don't think it can be replicated ever, even in the future. But such a privilege to sort of squeeze out the best of information that I can from the wonderful people around on my left is Nick and Tanmay ji. सबसे पहले आप दोनों को बहुत बहुत नमस्कार. And to the Bhagavati, which is working through both of you, pranams. Pranam. So you both are already been introduced. So I don't need to probably introduce you right now. And I can say, na aham asi, I am not. Well, let's begin this conversation with this particular event that this wonderful lady was talking about, which is Kumbh. A lot of people are calling it Maha Kumbh, or Kumbh of the century, after 144 years and stuff of that sort. Let me begin this conversation by asking you, Nick, this question. What is this magical number 144? Because from what I humbly understand, every 12 years it is basically repeated, happens in 4 cities across different geographies of Bharat. But 144, what is this magical number?
Thank you. Namaskar. I grew up in England, and when we go to school, we're not quite as intelligent as all of you in this audience. So you go up to at least 20 times 20. 12 times 12 is the limit of the times tables taught at schools in England. So I know that 12 times 12 is 144. And this cosmic cycle, this 12-year cycle, is set by Guru Brihaspati, Jupiter. So we are experiencing the synchronization of 3 celestial calendars. And it was the genius of ancient India to recognize that when you look to the heavens, you are able to tell the time. And in order to do that accurately, you need to invent mathematics and calculation, Ganita. So the birth of mathematics, which gives us the mobile phones and the modern world and modern finance and stock markets and accountants and all of the things that the College of Commerce is teaching, comes from Indians observing the heavens and wanting to understand time and therefore inventing mathematics. At the second time, they wanted to understand space and the geometry of rituals, of yagyas, of yantras, is where we get the understanding of geometry and mathematics. So there are ritual origins to both the tradition of mathematics and of geometry, and they are here. And that Prayag, that first yagya, is said to have taken place at Prayagraj at the Sangam of Ganga, Ma Ganga, and Yamuna, Ma Yamuna. Okay, so this place is incredibly important to the history of humanity, let alone India, let alone Hindus. This is a story and a place that has shaped all of our lives across the world. Now, that celestial cycle synchronizing gives us your 144 years. Actually, almost every Mahakumbh Mela, certainly the last few, have claimed for some reason to have a 144-year significance. This one was to do with the planetary alignments, Shani, Saturn being in Kumbh, Aquarius. But what is actually more important than that, and what uniquely happened this time, is the synchronization of the lunar and solar months of Magh. And this has not happened at a Mahakumbh Mela, and I'm not sure, and I don't know if any of you have heard this, but I haven't been reading this. And it marks out this as a particularly important year for a beyond 144 reasons, for 144 years reason. So what's going on there is that beneath the story of the Samudra Manthan and the Mahakumbh Mela and the Kumbh Mela is the story of the Magh Mela. And the Magh Mela goes back even further. It predates the Puranic stories. It predates the Prayag Mahatmyas, and it predates the Kumbh Mela association. And the Magh Mela, and all of you will have heard the phrase Maghe Prayage. When it's Magh, you go to Prayag. And that goes back thousands of years. Now, the lunar month of Magh begins the day after Posh Purnima, and it ends on Maghi Purnima. The solar month of Magh begins on Makar Sankranti and ends on Kumbh Sankranti. This year, as those of us who were fortunate to be at Prayagraj on Posh Purnima, we experienced a full moon night hidden by the clouds, and then, as often happens in the month of Magh, and in the morning, we had the sun, Surya, entering Makka. Therefore, we had the beginning, the synchronization of the lunar and the solar Magh months happening on the same day. And a week or so ago, when we were at Prayagraj for Maghi Purnima, we were seeing Surya enter into Kumbh, Aquarius, on the same day as full moon Maghi Purnima. Now, the symbolism of those is psychological, it's spiritual, it's mythological, it's historical, it's cultural. It is absolutely at the core of what it is to be human. And looking to those heavens and seeking to understand them and to be able to use them as celestial clocks is one of the genius contributions of India to the human story.
Such a wonderful explanation to my question. Obviously, I see a lot of young crowd sitting here who would perhaps know about Kumbh from either Wikipedia or Google or other platforms, right? Seldom do we have some wonderful senses available and gurus available wherein you can go and possibly clear your doubts about what it is really about. So Tanmayji is right here, and I would want to throw this question to you. Please extend on this word Kumbh, and the young people sitting around here, give them some education as to what Kumbh is all about.
देखिए, first of all, we need to understand what this entire concept of Kumbh and Mahakumbh is. One thing I would like to make clear to all these students who are sitting out here, there are only two words defined in scriptures. One is Kumbh and one is Ardh Kumbh. Kumbh is something that takes place after 12 years at one particular place. Kumbh is being held in India at four places. One is Prayag, Haridwar, Nasik and Ujjain. And then we have two places, Haridwar and Prayagraj, where the Ardh Kumbh also takes place. That is after 6 years of the Purna Kumbh that we speak about. Now this phraseology of Maha Kumbh has recently crept into the system, and this is the whole idea of like emotionally making something very grand. Like if we associate a word Maha with something, we are making it a much bigger some sort of thing. And recently, this Prayag Kumbh, it has been termed as a Kumbh after 144 years. I tell you very frankly, this was more of a marketing strategy rather than any astrological or any something defined in the scriptures, because every Kumbh is 12th Kumbh to the previous 12th Kumbh. So this can be defined as after 144 only when we know that when the first Kumbh took place, this is how we can make the calculations. So astrologically, there is no change in the places of the graha, the nakshatra we speak about. That is most importantly the position of the sun and the position of the Jupiter that has to be looked into as to when the Kumbh will take place. But going back to how and when and what are the reasons of this Kumbh being organized, I think you all must have heard about the story of Samudra Manthan, that how the Devas and the Daityas, they jointly conducted the Samudra Manthan, and Mandranchal Parvat was made, who was to grind things, and Vasuki Nag was instrumental and made the rope for the Samudra Manthan. And when the Samudra Manthan was done by the Devas and the Daityas, the 14 Ratn, 14 Ratn we received. The first one was the halahal wish that Lord Shiva kept in his throat, because of which he is called the Neelkantha. And the last one was Mahalakshmi also came, Kamdenu Gai also came. The last one was the Dhanvantri coming with this pot of Amrit, nectar, or elixir, whatever you can call it. And because of this pot, there was a fight and a tussle between the Devas and the Daityas. And the drops of this nectar, this Amrit, fell at four places. These four places are: one is Prayag, Haridwar, Nasik, and Ujjain. And it is believed because the drops of nectar fell at these four places have attained the Tattva, the Amrit Tattva, the something that gives you mortality. That is something that gives you immortality, I should say. So, because of this, Kumbh are being held at these four places. Now, in order to reach the particular pot from this Prithvilok to Devlok, it took 12 days. Now, one day of Devlok is equivalent to 1 year of this earth. So, because of that, 12 days mean 12 years. And astrologically, the particular time when the drops fell, it is being held on that year. Like we have in Haridwar when the Jupiter is in Kumbh Rashi and the Sun is in Mesh Rashi. Similarly, we have in Prayagraj when Sun and the Moon is in Makar Rashi and this one is in Vrashab Rashi. So these are the astrological calculations. But more than going to the astrological aspect of Kumbh, more than going into the number significance of 144 years or something, whatever it is, because generally it has been termed that if we don't take a dip in this generation, other two generations of our coming family won't be able to take any dip because it will be coming after 144 years. Leave these things apart. Go to the roots of the Kumbh. Kumbh is something, if you go astronomically, because the entire basis of our Hindu religion is astronomy. Astrology is just a part of it. If you study those things at that particular place, because of the position of the stars, some cosmic energy is created over that particular place, which makes that place much more positive. Like if you go for any of the religious activities, if you sit in a bazaar or you go and sit at a place that is much more peaceful and where you worship it every day, you'll feel the energy level going up when you visit a temple and you perform your meditation. And if you sit on the choraya or market, the entire thing will go down. So technically and traditionally and mythologically and religiously, something in a sort of blessings, positive energy, positive power is being showered upon that particular place on these specific dates. The Amrit Varsha, what we call about. And when you take a dip in Ma Ganga in these days, you worship, you take meditate for those things, you are blessed with those cosmic powers, those blessings of the Lord God. And you also know that entire, like in the seashores, all the energy is coming from either the sun or the waves are being created by the moon. So the combination of this Jupiter, sun and moon, it is instrumental in showering those positive energies, which is very beneficial. So I think these are the basic things that we should know about the Kumbh.
So thank you, Tanmayji. Again, it was a wonderful explanation. So I began this conversation by, I'm sure, assuming half of the crowd which is sitting right in front of us would have visited this wonderful congregation. Can you raise your hands up, whoever has visited Kumbh yet? One, two, three, four, five. So less than half the crowd, okay? Well, hopefully you all get a chance to actually visit and take a dip in this holy waters before the Mahashivratri. But I was sort of privileged, and a lot of my close friends, I sort of tell, Bhagwati has been extremely kind that she threw me into that particular arena, and I was there for almost a month, just over a month. My personal experiences and energies, which a lot of it is not really necessary for me to be on the mic. I mean, it's not microphone stuff, but um, very humbly, I can say that this churn that we talk about, it is a churn of a lot of energies, like I say, from in the spectrum of those divine beings who are not even present in their bodies to the charlatans who are sort of clad in bhagwas or maybe different kind attire. So there is a spectrum of population, there is a spectrum of energies, there's a spectrum of ideas, emotions, shraddha, and everything else right at that place. Almost 8% of the world's population has already been there. Over 500 million people have taken the dip in the holy waters. They have felt that energies around. So, very quickly before I hop on to the next question, Tanmayji, you also have been there, lived for some time, experienced those energies. Quickly, please tell me how was your experience there in the Kshetra?
देखिए, it was the largest, I mean, spiritual, religious, and cultural gatherings we have ever witnessed in any place of the world till now. It was huge, it was so energetic, and you can feel how emotional and religious and cultural we Indians are. I mean, despite of walking 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers just to reach Sangam, it is not an easy task because the sun is pouring and you had to carry your bags and everything. Only the Indians with such hard beliefs and emotional uh, connectivity for our gods and such this religious gatherings can we do that. And I'm very sure those people, despite of having been walk like 30 40 kilometers, having done all the hardships and everything, they felt blessed as soon as they saw Mother Ganga. As soon as they took the dip in Mother Ganga, it is something, it is very instrumental to our society as well, because we Indians, we are as emotional as we are logical. And we always have this belief that once we perform these rituals, it is something that makes our life very happy and we are being blessed by God. One more thing I would like to tell you, the same thing, the story of the churning of the Kumbh itself, I'll relate it to your life, the story of the Kumbh itself. Because Kumbh is being believed, the churning of the Samudra, the Shir Sagar, what we speak about, and it was being done by the devils and the Devatas, the Asuras and the Devatas itself. The same thing goes in your life every day. You आर सॉर्ट ऑफ एन ओशन. आप अपने आप को अगर आप देखेंगे तो आपके अंदर इट इज अ गुड पार्ट ऑफ यू एंड अ बैड पार्ट ऑफ यू, and there is always a conflict happening between you, the good thoughts and the bad thoughts. This is called the churning, the manthan. And out of those tussle of good thoughts and bad thoughts, the good part of you and the bad part you, comes the ratnas. And after the Samudra Manthan, the first thing that came out was the wish. And the same thing happens with you as well. Whenever you are in dilemma, you are in a tussle of good and bad, the first thing that comes out of you is insecurity, something you are being frightened and afraid of. So you need to believe and take a lesson religiously from the Kumbh as well. The last thing that comes out is the Amrit Tattva. The same thing you should relate with your life as well. You should keep on churning between the good and bad part of yourself. And though it is the wish that is coming out first, but ultimately Ma Lakshmi will come, Kamdenu Gaye will come, and last the pot of nectar will come that will bless you in a sort of the goal that you want to achieve in life.
Beautiful, beautiful again. And since you mentioned about this Puranic story of the churn of the universe, it's a general thing that I kind of keep telling to everyone. Um, because I think we've been groomed in such a way that we think one pole is right, another pole is left or wrong. So this duality of wrong and right, hot and cold, sweet and sour, we basically live in this world of duality, and we think the other part is not necessary. Well, I would like you all to ask this question to yourself: this churn that we basically talk about on like a tug of war, one side is devas and other side is asuras. Imagine if there wasn't a side, would the churn still happen? So uh, please ask yourself this question. Nick, how was your experience of about 15-20 days that you spend in Uchit?
Kashmiri Shavite. My experience was extraordinary. So, I mean, I think, can we add an extra category to your list of people who are Tirthyatris and pilgrims? The Indian at heart also are willing to put in some tapasya to reach there. So I made 6 journeys to and from Prayagraj, Delhi to Prayagraj and back. So 3 trips, six train journeys. And some of them involved a lot of walking from the station or to the station. Others, I was able to use motorbikes to get around Prayagraj. I was there for 6 snans. So starting from Push Purnima on the 13th all the way through to Maghi Purnima last week. So I've had a chance to experience Kumbh from many, many perspectives, from the Akaras in the Akara Kshetra to ashrams, Parmath ashram on the Arail side, to the Sangam nose with the Tirthyatris and the Kalpvasis. Don't forget, we always talk about the incredible sadhus, the Nagababas, the sadhus, but the Kalpvasis, I think, for me, are some of the most extraordinary people there because they're people just like us. They are householders, they're normal family people, often husbands and wives in their 50s, 60s, even 70s, who are spending 1 month, 30 days, the full Posh Purnima to Magh Purnima, living on the banks of Marganga, on straw, on the sand, under blankets, cooking, one simple meal a day and uncooked food and taking 3 snans a day. So the Kalpvasis, millions of them, are people like us who are willing to take this tapasya, take this ascetic life for a period. The other thing that is very important is that, particularly on Mauni Amavasya, the turpan and the pindan, the rituals that are being done, offering of the waters, offering of cakes of grains into Marganga, are for ancestors. So it's not just for oneself, but people are going there for their parents, grandparents, 11, 21 generations, depending on who you are. And when we were with a Panditji, one of the Prayagwals, doing these turpan, he was making us remember and name our parents by name, my wife's parents, grandparents, great grandparents, as many names as we could remember of our family, one by one, aunts and uncles. And I hadn't actually I didn't actually know that we were going to. I knew we were doing something for ancestors, but I didn't know we were going to be actually naming them. And that was a very profound moment. So for me, I actually found that at each of the snans that I took, there was I never had a kind of I have many sins, but I was not actually in a kind of asking for forgiveness mood. I wasn't in an asking for anything for myself mood, or actually asking for anything for others. I was overwhelmed by gratitude, and each of these moments in different ways, whether it be gratitude for being here in India with all of you wonderful people, whether it be my wife, my daughter, my family, my parents, my teachers, my ancestors, all the people whose lives could not have, or my life could not have happened without some little moment in their lives in the past. So it was there's a sense of gratitude there, and there's a couple of articles doing the rounds at the moment about Kumbh, slightly critical, and I think that it's some of them are rather unfair in the sense that this is the most inclusive ritual practice event opportunity that in anywhere in the world. There is nothing more inclusive as this in terms of the sheer number of people. But what castes, religions, identities, there's no visa, passport check. Anyone who can reach the Sangam is welcome to Snan there alongside anyone else. This is very powerful, very, very inclusive, and unlike anything else that I've ever experienced. You go to Glastonbury Festival, or you go, which is where I grew up in England, or Coachella or Woodstock. Everyone needed tickets, or if they didn't, they were seen to be illegal immigrants to that community. That's not true of the Kshetra at Prayagraj at Mahakumbh Mela. All are welcome. And so that was very, very powerful. So the intention of the devotees, the Tirthyatris, as well as the sadhus, I think is something that we can all be inspired by. People doing something like this for others and with that intention in mind. You mentioned Samudra Manthan, Amrit Manthan, Mahabharat, Ramayana, Puranas. We've had this story told in different formats. All of us will have heard different versions, but it also is connected with the Veda. So in Rig Veda, there are two main frame stories that recur in the Veda. One is the Battle of the Ten Kings, but the other one is Indra releasing the cows from Vritra, the serpent. So the serpent is holding something of value, and Indra has to intervene in order to retrieve it. And Samudra Manthan with Vasuki and Mandara and the role played by Vishnu and also obviously by the Asuras and deities, similarly, churning something in order to retrieve something of value for the benefit of others. And of course, the deities, the Asuras, they were trying to seek for the benefit of themselves, whereas the Devas were doing it for others, bringing out Sri Lakshmi, bringing out Dhanvantari and Aryavata and all of exact 14 of these extraordinary jewels, plus Kalakuta or Halal. Now, that metaphor of going within, retrieving something of value, can have psychological, spiritual connotations that we can all resonate with. But also, I'd like to sow this seed in all of your minds. What is going on in Silicon Valley and Bangalore and Gurgaon and elsewhere is also a Samudra Manthan. The forces of your friends, that both, both sides coming together, but everyone is trying to churn data in order to extract immortality and health and wealth and power. Everyone is trying to churn the financial resources, investors, putting things in to carry out a set of rituals. And we need to be careful that when we're producing, whether it be the ChatGPTs or the Googles and Microsofts, all of the stuff that's going on, the churning that's going on in that world of technology, it will produce poison, as well as some benefits for us. And who is Shiva? Who is going to consume the poison? Who is Parvati going to help Shiva to make sure we don't lose him in the process? Who's Mohini going to distract the bad guys at the right moment so that the benefits are conferred on society? I think that we can use stories like Samudra Manthan to help us understand and reflect on contemporary problems, even technological 21st century ones.
Beautiful. So there were a couple of things I wanted to sort of ask, even, which is already answered right now. So I'll share one brief personal story of how I went into Kumbh, and then so I was in that place since 10th of January. So like I said in the beginning, I spent almost a month plus in that place. What a fantastic experience. Otherwise, I mean, again, not for the microphone. However, so about a week down the line, I had to push back to Srinagar for one of the other reasons. And then 3 days down the line, I got a ticket and I went back to this particular place. And I'm thinking, why? Okay. So have you seen cows and buffaloes doing the eating? How many of you have actually seen the cows and buffaloes eating? Please raise your hands. Okay. So what do they really do? They eat whatever they can find their mouth on, hands on, nahi bolunga, but later down the line, they sit in solitude or with people of their gang and they start chewing what they have eaten to digest it further. That is how what we don't do with our food, but what we internally take mentally. This is what we should also be doing. Processing of information now we sort of absorb and consume on a daily basis. A lot of it is just wasted. We don't actively contemplate on those experiences and those data that we basically consume. So on the way back to Srinagar from Prayagraj, I'm sort of doing this contemplation. I'm like, whoa, okay, so let me connect certain more dots. And so basically, when you connect those dots, you make a meaningful story, the story which is divine. So I'm coming back from Srinagar to Kumbh, and I'm like, why mother has called me again? There's got to be a reason why I'm coming back from Srinagar. Another month I'm spending there. I'm like, whoa, another huge download of information is happening. Okay. And I'm telling everyone else, listen, everybody who has come down here, and I have spoken with at least thousands plus people there from all categories, all layers of societies. And everybody has a story as to how they got into that place first. Okay. And then I personally also believe, listening to their stories as well as my own contemplation, that Mother Ganga had a tiny gift like this hamper for almost everybody who visited, and they went back with the hamper. Now, these blessings are also encrypted, I believe. A lot of times you've got to sort of sit down, chew on that material to take the juice or take the flavor out of what you learned. This basically needs contemplation. Um, my question to you, Tanmayji, is, since we are talking about this churn of the century, churn of the millennia, or the decade, or whatever, the timelines are also sort of botched up anyway. But is see this churn that he also spoke of, which is happening in urban centers. Why just name Los Angeles or Silicon Valley or whatever? So all these urban centers basically are places where a lot of churn is happening. That is why they're called productive centers as well, right? Um, and I also mentioned almost 8 to 10% of the humanity has already taken a dip there, with all their emotions, flooding in and everything else. Next 12 years before this, huge, gigantic event takes place again, what is it that almost 8% of humanity went back with?
देखिए, irrespective of you have taken a dip in Ma Ganga or not, the most important thing for a person to be successful in life is a self belief, a confidence, a belief that someone is standing behind me, who will be blessing me and guiding me in any time of any adversity. You see, you are a college student, you are studying in Delhi University, and if your class teacher or whosoever the subject teacher is, he or she comes up to you and they say you, okay, don't worry, beta, I'm there with you, I'm there for you. Anytime and anytime you want me to be. Your parents come up to you and you say, okay, beta, your mother or father, he or she says, okay, beta, don't worry, I'm there for you in every situation. Any of your friend comes up to you and he or she says, okay, don't worry, main hu na. So this is exactly what happens when religiously and spiritually we perform something that religiously is associated with the blessings of that Almighty. Now, taking a dip at this Mahakumbh, it is, even though it was marketed for 144 years, we leave about the 144-year aspect. Mythologically and spiritually, taking a dip in Magh Mass that comes every year, and 12 years, the Kumbh, it is considered to be that you have been blessed by the cosmic powers of that Almighty. Now, what it does, I mean, physically, we don't know what will happen. But what it does is, as soon as you take a dip at the Sangam at Ma Ganga, you start believing that you've been blessed. You are a blessed child of that Almighty. And thus, that energy, the positive energy, the cosmic energy, almost immediately start creeping in your personality, in your behavior. Now, you have taken a snan, you came back to the university, and you feel like, yes, मैं तो स्नान करके आ गया या आ गई नहीं the blessings of Almighty are with me. So this basically is the entire concept of the religion, especially the Hindu religion, and all these events associated with Hindu religion. You perform any puja, you perform any snan, you perform any of the rituals that are being guaranteed. So what they do is, if you do this, Lord Ganesha will you bless with this. If you do this, Ma Bhagavati will bless you with this. If you do this, Ma Ganga will bless you with this. So this is something that is there to make you more positive. Each and every phraseology in Veda, the Rig Veda or any of the Veda, there is nothing to make you weak. Everything is there to make you dynamic, energetic, powerful, or parakrami, we speak about. So I think that whosoever takes a dip at Ma Ganga, mythologically and religiously, yes, they are blessed by that Almighty. But psychologically, even if you speak about certain things, individually you get the confidence that you are a blessed child of God now, and you are much more energetic. Like we take the energy boosters, we take the supplements, we take the multivitamins. Now you have been given some extra power by the Almighty, and now on the journey, on the path of journey you are already walking, you will be walking much faster and you will be achieving your goals in a much better way.
Thank you, Tanmayji. The final question to you, and I really want to understand is because of the fact that, like he was talking about, the marketing strategy and a lot of other things, it became contagious. Little, I think, a week down the line, from 21st, 22nd, 28th, and then it was like pool of heads, humanity just walking into that kshetra and for the snan. Um, I use the word contagious. In your Western world, what is your perspective and how did you see it, sort of catching up and a lot of people coming in from around the globe just to take and experience the energies and take the dip in the Ganges?
Promoting the opportunity that a snan in Magmas at Prayagraj has is entirely within thousands of years of Indian Bhartiya tradition. Rigved, Nadi Sukta, Idam, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Mahabharat, Yudhisthira, Markandeya telling him to go, Ram going to Sage Bharadwaj ashram, all of the Puranas, Matsya Purana, Padma Purana, Vishnu Purana, Bhagavata Purana, Agni Purana, all refer to coming to Prayag. The Prayag Mahatmya, the Tirth Mahatmyas, the Tristali Setus, all of these texts are used as promotional aids to encourage people, hey, Margay, Prayagay. So a few people like me talking on Instagram is a drop in the ocean for thousands of years of promotion of this opportunity. And I mean, even the Chinese, Shanzang in the 7th century, when he came to India, he went to Prayag and he witnessed Jains and Buddhists as well as Hindus taking a snan at the Sangam. So did Fa Xian a couple of centuries prior to him. So even, foreign travel influencers, Al-Baruni, a Muslim foreign travel influencer, came to Prague and described it. So there's a long tradition of people coming here and telling other people that if they get the opportunity, they should too. So I feel like whatever little has happened on social media or in the press in the last month is entirely within the tradition, and it is just a contemporary manifestation. And all of the versions that have been told over those thousands of years are different. They're all subjective. They're all of their time. That one's a Chinese Buddhist, another one's a Hindu, another one's Mark Twain, an American orator, another one's Fanny Park, some British lady. People have been coming here forever, and they will continue coming for as long as people have a heart and a soul and a yearning to experience the divine or nature. And I think that is the final thing I'll say on this point is that what we are doing when we go to Prayagraj is we're experiencing the two greatest life-giving forces, water through Ma Ganga, Ma Yamuna coming together, and Surya, the sun. And without the light and life that the sun brings, Surya Dev brings, without the water that nourishes Bhumi, the land, and us, ourselves, we are nothing. And this coming together of sunshine and water at the Sangam is for me there doesn't get a more human way to experience than that.
Very, very profound, Nick. Thank you. Thank you. Such a privilege to sort of, squeeze out the wisdom of both you guys right here.
Hi, good evening, esteemed speakers. It was a wonderful session, really. So, I have a couple of questions for all three of you, actually. Okay, one only.
Consolidator.
Sure. One is that I have been unfortunate until yet to visit the Kumbh. I haven't visited the Kumbh yet. So, and I believe that every journey or every travel, especially this spiritual travel, a month long, more than a month long, teaches you something. So, I would like to know some of your teachings or thoughts or observations from this journey from Delhi or around the globe to the Kumbh. And especially for Nick sir, what was that one reason or your quest or that one thought that convinced you to leave England and come all the way across the seas to settle in India long back in 2007 and be so passionate about this Mahakumbh that you're taking this session here. Thank you.
What's your name?
Here.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay. So here and all the rest of you, you are the reason I came here because you represent the future and the best hope for humanity.
Thank you.
India always has, and finally, it is achieving that potential. So the world needs India more than ever before, and needs Indians, needs you here, needs all of you at DU in this audience. And the best place to experience, what it is to be human, in many respects, is going to that Prayagraj, Sangam, and Kumbh Mela, because all walks of life. I mean, I was happened to be when the Ambanis were there. So some of the richest people, and I'm sure I met some of the poorest people as well. All were there, all side by side, all in the same river. Extraordinary.
Namaskara Bhavadbhya. I am Aradhya Chaturvedi from Department of History, and I wanted to ask a question regarding the history of Kumbh. I have a sort of habit of putting history everywhere, so I just wanted to ask about the first literary evidence we get of Kumbh in any of the Shastras or Vedas. I don't think so there is an evidence in the Vedas, but I'll leave it to you.
You see, there are several scriptures, Vishnu Puran, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Puran. So many. I think if you read any of the oldest scriptures, Samudra Manthan is mentioned everywhere. You study Shiv Puran, you study Vishnu Puran, you should study this Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Puran. Samudra Manthan is considered to be obviously the part of the Kumbh. It has come off late. Initially, it was not there. I mean, if you go to the oldest scriptures, but Samudra Manthan has been the part of it because originally the Devatas and the Asurs, they are the children of a same Rishi Kashyap. Rishi Kashyap had two wives. One was Aditi, one was Diti. Aditi से सभी देवता हुए और दीति से सभी जो है असुर हुए. So there was a tussle among the brothers. You must be knowing if you are a student of history. So I think as far as the story of Samudra Manthan goes, it has been mentioned in most of the oldest scripture. If you go in any of the Purans or Upanishads or anything, yes, the part of the Kumbh, it is being mentioned in Vishnu Puran and several other things. But I think if you go it properly, the Samudra Manthan story has been, you go in any of the minute details, it's mentioned everywhere because it's a basis of, you can say, the entire concept, entire culture of the Sanatan Dharma. Samudra Manthan is a very important part of it.
Absolutely. Ujjain and Nasik were always Simhasta. They're always the festivals associated with Leo, Simha. The Kumbh festival was originally Haridwar, where Tanmay is from. It started in Haridwar. But Prayagraj is the Magh Mela, and they've all come together. However, there is a really interesting potential hint of this coming together in the Gupta Cave 19, the Vishnupada cave of the Udaygiri. So if Udaygiri is a Gupta astronomical and cave mandir worship complex Vaishnavite, and in cave 19 at the front on the lintel you have Samudra Manthan, and on either side you have Ganga and Yamuna. So Ma Ganga, Ma Yamuna, and Samudra Manthan are there in the early 5th century in a cave table in Udaygiri near Vidisha in Madhya Pradesh. Textually, Puranas, and then it's all of these Mahatmyas that are continually adding and combining these incredibly powerful stories and records.
I think that is where we're going to end this conversation. What a lovely, wonderful opportunity to sort of talk to you people in front of this wonderful crowd. I cannot not culminate this conversation or discourse before I say Har Har Mahadev. And also may the cosmic feminine guide and guard all of you from here, all of us from here. Ganga Maya ki Jai.